President Trump and MAGA voters got several huge wins today. I'll go through each of them. Today, the economy and MAGA voters got some incredible news. For the first time since July of 2021, a majority of Americans rate the economy as strong, according to new polling data from Harvard-Harris Polling. That's huge. That's right around the time that Biden screwed up the Afghanistan withdrawal. That's how long it's been since a majority of Americans felt like America was good to them economically. With that said, as President Trump exits his first 100 days in office, Americans across the country are voicing their hope for his agenda. In a recent poll, folks from all walks of life, families, workers, retirees, said their top wish from President Trump is to tackle the rising cost of living. They're feeling the pinch at the grocery store, at the gas pump, and they want relief. Now, some of that's going to come in the form of companies lowering prices. Some of that's going to come from wholesale pricing, which took a big dip last month, according to new data. It's also going to come from getting the interest rates down from the Federal Reserve, all things that President Trump is working on. But from MAGA to Republican to Libertarian, Independent, and Democrat, the number one message that they clearly want to send to Trump is, please make America affordable again. Let me know in the comments. Do you agree with that? Is that your number one concern? I know for a while it was shutting down the border. That's done. Now we need President Trump to make life affordable again. All right. Remember in the early days of Doge, Elon Musk announced they had discovered something like 4 million government-issued credit cards where federal employees had the ability to spend up to $10,000 per card. Well, a new report out shows what they were spending money on. The DOD IG found nearly 8,000 high-risk transactions on government-issued credit cards, paid for and reimbursed by the taxpayer. We are calling on the Government Accountability Office to provide a full audit of all of the high-risk transactions. But it looks like they were spending money on adult entertainment, online gambling, online dating, marijuana, pyramid schemes, timeshares, and massage parlors. Now, I would just say massage places, but that's what the government report shows is massage parlors. Crazy, right? That's not how I want my money to be spent. That's not what I pay taxes for. That's not what I voted for. So I'm glad they're finally getting in there, busting down the door and realizing there's a lot of weirdos in the American government. By the way, thank you guys so much for liking and sharing these videos. When you hit that like button, it does more than you would ever guess. So thank you guys so much. Okay, the story around Biden's sudden cancer is getting a lot more interest. Many have expressed sympathy for his struggle, but not for him as someone who made their life difficult. Others say this is a massive scam to cover up the newly released special counsel Robert Hur tapes that prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that Joe Biden was mentally incapable of being president of the United States. No wonder they took advantage of the auto pen. However, some suspect the entire thing is a massive government cover-up. For instance, Benny Johnson said, "This is the most dangerous cover-up in the history of the presidency." Last summer, White House physician Dr. Kevin O'Connor swore to the American people that Joe Biden was completely fit for presidency. No issues, nothing to see. Now we learn Biden has advanced prostate cancer. But wait, advanced prostate cancer can take up to 10 years to develop to the stage where Biden's diagnosis is. Prostate cancer is also easy to find. Simple blood tests, prostate exams with nearly 100% accurate results. You're telling me that the best doctors and testing on earth did not find Biden's cancer in all of the years of testing? Was every medical report a lie? If so, for how long? I call BS. This is the worst cover-up in the presidency. They know it. They lied. They hid it for power. people need to be held accountable, this is evil. That's exactly what it is. And I don't know that Democrats are actually going to care, but this is a massive cover up and a massive lie that put all of us in danger and made our lives very, very expensive while having our country invaded by foreign nationals. So I can't wait for them to get to the bottom of this. Now, I'm going to roll a clip from my interview earlier today with a former Clinton White House insider saying exactly how this scam and cover up was pulled off. Let me go ahead and show that to you now.
Not being a medical doctor, I'm aware that many medical doctors who are commenting on this note that there is no way that diagnosis could be this advanced without knowledge of those around him. So this really is Shakespearean, Mr. Gardner. I mean, what you've got zooming out, from this very sad figure who's been subjected, in my view, to at least 4 years of very grave elder abuse, right? Which is a crime. But what you've got beyond that is a very, and I've been a White House spouse. Again, I advised a presidential campaign and a vice president. A lot of people had to know and had to coordinate, not once in a while, but every day, all day, to cover this up. I mean, that's how a White House works. The chief of staff knew, the press office knew, the scheduler knew, the Secret Service knew. It wasn't their job to tell. But certainly, the opposition leaders must have known. The DNC knew, Nancy Pelosi knew, the committees knew, literally the press knew, right? I mean, to have Jake Tapper come forward with a book, I gather, saying, oh my God, President Biden was demented. He was there, literally all the legacy media sat there in the front row, second row, third row, witnessing a man that a 12-year-old could tell shouldn't have been let out by himself and shouldn't be bothered, should be left alone to do whatever people in that advanced state of dementia and cancer, want to do in their declining years.
All right. So everybody, according to this former West Wing insider, everybody would have known about his mental incapability and his cancer and possibly even his Parkinson's. Go check out that interview from earlier today. It was fantastic. You're going to love it. Now, yesterday I came on, I did an emergency broadcast where I told you how President Trump shared his sympathy for President Biden, but now he's sharing his suspicion, and it does not look good. President Trump understands that something is not right here. And, well, let me just have you hear it from him directly.
Actually, I'm surprised that it wasn't, the public wasn't notified a long time ago, because to get to stage 9, that's a long time. I just had my physical. You saw that. You saw the results of that particular test. I think that test is standard to pretty much anybody getting a physical, good physical. We had the doctors at the White House and over at Walter Reed, which is a fantastic hospital, do it. I did a very complete physical, including cognitive tests. I'm proud to announce I aced it. Got them all. I got them all right. You proud of me? Yes. Your husband would be proud of me for getting them all right. It's a little risk. If I didn't get them all right, these people would be after me. It would be not a good situation. But I think, frankly, anybody running for president should take a cognitive test. They say it's unconstitutional, but I would say in that particular case, having a cognitive test wouldn't be so bad. But when you take tests, medical, as a male, that test is very standard. I don't know if it's given to everybody, but it's given just about. And it takes a long time to get to that situation. Now, I think, to get to a stage 9, I think that if you take a look, it's the same doctor that said that Joe was cognitively fine. There was nothing wrong with him. Well, he said, if it's the same doctor, he said there was nothing wrong there. And that's being proven to be a sad situation. And the auto pen is becoming a very big deal. The auto pen is becoming a big deal because it seems like that maybe was the president who ever operated the auto pen. But when they say that that was not good, they also, you have to look and you have to say that the test was not so good either. In other words, there are things going on that the public wasn't informed. And I think somebody's going to have to speak to his doctor, if it's the same, or even if it's two separate doctors. Why wasn't the cognitive ability, why wasn't that discussed? And
all right. So President Trump weighs in, and they're now going to be investigating this situation because of HIPAA health law. We may never find out, or we might find out that those medical records have to be released. And if it turns out that they ran those blood tests and something didn't come up, then he has turbo cancer, or we're being lied to. I tend to believe it's that we are being lied to. All right, now I have some big stories, including some big wins. But first, let me tell you about today's amazing video sponsor. They say sleep is a superpower, and you spend close to a third of your life asleep. Shouldn't your mattress be the best mattress? I want to tell you about my experience with today's sponsor, Brooklyn Bedding. My mattress arrived on my doorstep after ordering it online. It was easy to set up and easy to move compared to buying a bed locally. The best part for me is I'm sleeping better. I don't have a sore back in the morning, and the mattress actually keeps me cooler at night. I love the mattress, and I believe you will too. After telling my family and friends about how much better I'm sleeping, how my back's not bothering me, I was shocked at how many people close to me admitted they are sleeping on an old, uncomfortable mattress. It's time for them to upgrade, and it might be time for you to upgrade. Plus, you get to try it out for 120 nights. In the US, you get free shipping, and Brooklyn Bedding, their mattresses aren't made with fiberglass. So I'm talking about an incredible mattress for an incredible price. Now, isn't your sleep and your body worth it? I know they are. Brooklyn Bedding mattresses are designed, assembled, and shipped from their Arizona factory, so no middleman marking up the price. I love my Brooklyn Bedding mattress, and I think you will too. If you're looking for a new bed, visit brooklynbedding.com/Stephen Gardner to get 30% off. Just go to brooklynbedding.com and use code Stephen Gardner to get 30% off. I'll leave that link down below. All right. Well, President Trump is calling for an investigation of the auto pen, also the medical records of Joe Biden. But now he's calling for Vice President Kamala Harris to be investigated. Let me pull this up on the screen and let's look at this together. How much did Kamala Harris pay Bruce Springsteen for his poor performance during her campaign for president? Why did he accept that money if he's such a fan of hers? Isn't that a major and illegal campaign contribution? What about Beyonce? What about Oprah and Bono? I'm going to call for a major investigation into this matter. Candidates aren't allowed to pay for endorsements, which is what Kamala did, under the guise of paying for entertainment. In addition, this was a very expensive and desperate effort to artificially build up her sparse crowds. It's not legal for these unpatriotic entertainers. This was just a corrupt and unlawful way to capitalize on a broken system. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So there's going to be an investigation into the former vice president on how she spent money. And I will report back to you when I have more information to share with you. All right, now let me tell you about some amazing news. In a decisive 8-1 ruling, the U.S. Supreme Court has upheld President Trump's plan to revoke the legal status of approximately 532,000 migrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela, who were paroled into the U.S. under Biden's administrative program. The decision reverses a lower court's injunction, allowing the Trump administration to terminate the humanitarian parole program, which could lead to the deportation of these migrants. Now, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, who was the sole dissenter, aligns with critics like the Soros-funded group that argue that this isn't humane, that illegals and people here on expired visas should be able to stay forever. That's not how it works. And so gratefully, Amy Coney Barrett and the other justices that purport to be conservative, they are all now getting in line, and only Ketanji Brown Jackson wanted them to stay in the country. All right, switching gears to international news, Russia launched its biggest drone attack since the war began. 273 drones and decoys near Kiev in the Donetsk and Donetsk region. Ukraine's Air Force shot down 88 of the drones, and 128 of them failed due to electronic jamming equipment. The attack killed a 28-year-old woman and injured many other people, including a child. Both sides have agreed that they will exchange close to 1,000 prisoners at the end of the war. Now, Ukrainian intelligence has warned that Russia could be preparing to test intercontinental ballistic missiles into Kiev. Maybe this is why President Trump demanded a phone call with Vladimir Putin. President Trump held a nearly 2-hour phone call with the Russian president. Let me show you here on the screen what was discussed. Just completed my 2-hour call with Russian President Vladimir Putin. I believe it went very well. Russia and Ukraine will immediately start negotiation towards a ceasefire and, more importantly, the end of the war. The conditions for that will be negotiated between the two parties, as it can only be, because they know the details of a negotiation that nobody else would be aware of. The tone and the spirit of the conversation were excellent. If it wasn't, I would say so now rather than later. Russia wants to do large-scale trade with the United States when this catastrophic bloodbath is over, and I agree. There is a tremendous opportunity for Russia to create massive amounts of jobs and wealth. Its potential is unlimited. Likewise, Ukraine can be a great beneficiary of trade in the process of rebuilding its country. Negotiations between Russia and Ukraine will begin immediately. I have informed President Zelensky of Ukraine, Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, President Emmanuel Macron of France, Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni of Italy, Chancellor Friedrich Merz of Germany, and President Alexander Stubb of Finland during a call with me immediately after the call with President Putin. The Vatican, as represented by the Pope, has stated that they would be very interested in hosting the negotiation. Let the process begin. This is massive. Now, J.D. Vance just happens to be with the Pope. He brought him a Chicago Bears jersey as a welcome to being a Pope present. Now, this is a big deal. I shared with you the other day that Bill Maher said there is a new doctrine in America under President Trump, and it's that we're not going to tell you how to live, but we want to do business with you. Now, this may come as a shock to many people, but President Trump is saying, listen, we need to end this war, and the way for those two to be neighbors is that they can both trade with the United States of America. So Ukraine, let us help get people back to Ukraine, rebuild your cities, get jobs going, build wealth by trading with America. Russia, get your people off the front line, back to your country, and let's start to do trade with America. So it's peace and prosperity. This is the new doctrine. Let me know your thoughts down below. I had a feeling that this was going to happen, that once things were done, that President Trump would say, listen, I don't care about religion. I don't care about the war. I just want the death to stop. And the way to do that is to trade with the United States of America. I had a feeling that this was going to happen. Why? Because I had many people from Trump Term 1 on my show that said what Trump is trying to do is peace through strength and peace through prosperity and trade. The other thing that's going on behind the scenes is they are peeling Russia and the Middle East away from China. They want to do business with these people. Therefore, they need to peel them away from China. All right, one final story. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel in conjunction with working with President Trump and the U.S. Special Envoy, Steve Witkoff, have proposed another ceasefire in exchange for the rest of the hostages that Hamas has. So this war, they're trying to bring this one to an end as well and say, listen, let's do trade, let's rebuild Gaza, but let's get these hostages back and let's bring an end to this war. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about all of this? This is a new day under the President Trump doctrine of peace through strength and peace through prosperity. Hey, if you guys could give this video a like, hit that subscribe button. The channel has been suppressed over the last couple of days. I have a feeling why, but I don't even want to say the words on this video because I don't want to get further suppressed. But if you could like and share this video so that we can get those numbers up and keep the channel healthy and growing. I love you guys. Stay amazing, and I will see you on the next video.